Good afternoon. My name is Jared Ford. I am the Assistant General Manager for Lextran. And in that role, I wear several hats, and one of those also is the DBE Liaison Officer, Dispatch Business Enterprise. The Director of Purchase is also one of the departments that actually reports to me. I supervise purchasing, maintenance, and operations, and IT. Lextran is a little bit different. Because we are a transit agency, we receive a significant portion of our funding from the Federal Transit Administration. We also periodically get a little bit of funding from the Federal Highway Administration as well. So because the FTA is our primary accounting agency, we have to follow those rules. So we have some different requirements that the state does not have and the city does not have, because our procurement policies have to line up with what the federal law says they have to do. They need to show. So certain things in our rules that the state or the city might not have to follow. For example, if we spend over $100,000 on a project, we have to have a clause in there called Buy America. And so whatever products we have to put in there, you purchase with that money, it has to be made in America. If the FTA finds out that there's something in there that's not made by America, they will withdraw their funding. There's an agency in Jackson, Mississippi, a transit agency there, J-Tran. They were building a brand new facility, found out that the HVAC contractor put in a product that was not by America. The FTA withdrew their funding. When the contractor found out about it, they just left, and they had a building in probably 1 or 2 years just sitting there. Brand new building now, with mold and everything, because it's half built. So those a little bit different. Now, you asked a question about reciprocity. Can we participate with other contracts? Periodically we can, but it depends on how the items were procured. Whatever the request for proposal show, if things in there are consistent with what the FTA is looking for, we can do that, and then we have the advantage then we would give you our federal clauses, like Buy America, or some of those other clauses, EEO. And if you agree to those clauses, then, and we like the price you have, then we can do that. We do that with the state periodically. If the state goes out and they do a contract, I guess, for some vehicles or something, for cutaway vehicles. And so we like the price they had because it's a bulk price, so they have a bigger market or a bigger pool than we can on our own. We like their price. If their procurement, the way they procured it is okay, there's nothing that they did that's contrary to what the FTA is looking for, then the FTA will allow us to go to that vendor and say, are you willing to hold to this, give us the same price you gave everybody else? If they say yes, we need you to agree to these clauses. If they say yes, then we buy from them. Periodically we do that as well. Including our service vehicles, periodically we buy Ford Escapes or Explorers, things of that nature. We do that a lot. Jack Kane and some of the other Wildcat Ford, we bought vehicles from them using those similar tagging methods. So I want to kind of print this out here first. This is actually part of our procurement policies that we have to have on file. The FTA comes in every 3 years, and that's one of the things they look at is our procurement policy. They look at all our procurements, primarily the ones over $100,000, but anything's really subject to them. And we put in there that vendors are afforded the opportunity to visit the authority between 9 and 3. So we actually want you to come. We really prefer that you schedule the time because you never know if we're going to be there, the person you're looking for. But we have that out there because we really do want people to come to have an opportunity to talk to us and see what you have to offer. I'll give you, for instance, I participated in the MBE Expo early this year, and I did a one-on-one session. And so, in talking to some of the people we talked to, actually brought them in. And one example was Seal and Life Company. They happened to be a Disadvantaged Business Enterprise as well. And I brought them in, and they went introduced them to our parts manager and a director of maintenance. And so we're periodically talking to them to see if there's different things they can do for us with their products. So we want that because there's things that you do that we might not have had planned, and because we didn't even know someone did that. I'll give you another, for instance. We, again, speaking of DB Go, we have to establish a DB Go, and part of that process is a consultation. So we invite people to come in and say, what do you offer? This is what we're looking for. This is the kind of goal we have, and what can you offer? And so we did that and found out something I hadn't even thought about. Many of you may have heard that Lextran recently purchased the 200 West Loudon, the OGE property. Because we're going to build a brand new admin maintenance facility. Well, one of the companies, two of the companies that responded do promotional items and things such as nameplates and signage. Well, when you build brand new offices, you need nameplates outside of that. That's something we thought about. One of them happened to be a DB as well. So that's an opportunity that I had not planned for. Our last goal was 11.01%. I'm working on a new goal. It has not been approved yet because the FTA is one of the agencies that are closed because of the shutdown. So when they come back, I'll find out what that goal is, and then we'll know if they approved it. So some of the other speakers talked about this as well. We have dollar thresholds as well. $0 to $10,000 verbal quotes. We were willing to receive that. We have to document it. The FTA's rule is if it's not documented, it didn't happen. So normally we get some kind of documentation, or we have our own manual documentation we put in the file. $10,000 to $20,000 written quotes, email is sufficient for a written quote. So basically what we do is we'll take the specifications, what we're looking for, and we send it out so everybody has exactly the same thing, and we get those scores, those things back, and we evaluate. $20,000 or greater, that's when we hit the formal procurement request proposal or invitation for bids. It's the same thing some other people have talked about as well. So again, Lextran will contract 3 or more vendors and request the needed information. That would seem to be easy. Sometimes that takes a while, and sometimes we don't get as many responses as we have. So we give a certain period of time that we want people to respond. We give each vendor identical information, which I mentioned, which is basically the specs or the scope of work. And we document your name, the person who gave the quote, the price, delivery time, if applicable, and any other additional information. For example, we might need to get the product or the service in a certain period of time. So you might have a lower price, but it might take you longer to get it to us. So if the person has a higher price, but they can get it to us sooner, and we need it sooner, then we're going to go with that price as well. Our annual budget is about $24, $25 million. So compared to some of the UK and the city, we're small fries in that regard. But the Federal Trade Administration requires that we spend at least a certain percentage of our federal funding, our federal dollars on disadvantaged businesses. They are okay with spending money on MBEs and WBEs, but they're, what we get credit for, what they look for, is disadvantaged business enterprise. And so we go through a 3-year period of setting the goal. The goal lasts for that 3 years, and we have quarterly reports we send to the Federal Trade Administration to show how we're meeting that goal. If we don't meet that goal, they come to us and say, why aren't you meeting the goal? And they have us do a shortfall analysis to figure out why you're not, and then what you can do to improve that to meet your goal. If you have met your goal, then they expect you to go in and to increase your goal because they want you to do some more. So all this is talks about the federal regulations to declare why we have to do this business goal. And again, as I mentioned, we're interested in doing the work with the MBEs and WEs. We have no issue with that, and we're interested in working with you if you don't have any of those. As an agency, we want to do business with people in our city because we want to benefit the city we live and serve in. And most people may only think we just do buses, but we do a whole lot of things. We buy computers, we have different types of services. We do some construction. We have our bus shelters. We have parts for our buses. The sky's the limit of what we do and handle. So for a firm to be eligible to Lextran for FTA purposes, they must be certified as a DBE in the Commonwealth of Kentucky prior to into a contract with Lextran. That's very important. You can be a DBE. You don't have to be in Kentucky to be a DBE, but you have to be registered with the state of Kentucky DBE program for us to get the credit. We've had agencies that were registered somewhere else, and they didn't meet the qualifications to be registered here, and we could not take advantage of those points. And you would think they'd be consistent across the board, but every state wants to make sure you meet their requirements. So I don't know how many of you are DBs or if you know the process and you're eligible, but this is the process, and this is one of those that I believe you have to email out to everybody as well, the presentation. But basically, you register with the state. The UCP is a Unified Certification Program, and you can download the application from there. We also, just like some of the UK and the city have, we have an online bidders registration page as well. I put this because we worked with a company, got them to become a DBE, and got them certified. We're ready to do business with them as a DBE. And every year, you're registered certified as a DBE for 3 years, but every year you have some amount of paperwork you have to send. This company decided, for some reason, I'm not really sure what happened, but they did not fill in the paperwork saying they didn't get the notice. But the state will actually send you out multiple notices saying you're getting close to time for you to recertify. Did you forget you need to recertify? Don't forget to recertify. They do about 4 or 5 times, and this agency decided for some reason only got the 1 letter. And they had this joke about it. They said they only get the 1 letter saying you're going to get kicked out the program. So I put that on, all that just to say it is a process, and it's not a quick one. If there's something you want to do, we urge you to start doing that right away. Again, our requirement again is federally that we have to work with DBs. If we don't, the FTA holds us accountable, so we go out and we look for disadvantaged business enterprise. So we want to stand out on behalf of Lextran for doing business. And if you qualify, become a disadvantaged business, because we're actually looking for that. And matter of fact, because I did not meet my goal, as for a number of reasons. One agency I worked with let it slip. Another one was registered in another state, and they took them too long to get through the process, so I couldn't take advantage of them. And it took us a very long time to find the property, because one of the big part of my goal was the construction project. It's going to be about a $24 million project. So that was a huge opportunity for us to get a lot of points. I was hoping to get that done earlier, and it took a long time again to find the real estate. So, to fix that, now we're going to the point where we're going to start doing some contract goals, which means we're going to actually start putting some goals in our contracts, or request for proposal saying we want to reach that. So the people who respond, these are the ones that we're going to look for more favorably. So, again, we talked about that, just like the city and the state and the UK have, we have a vendors list as well. We encourage you to sign up on our website and our vendors database as well. Initially, the type of projects or service you have may not meet the threshold of what you would consider a bid or a request for proposal. So we encourage you to contract Lextran anyway. That's why I started out the presentation with, if you want to come see us, we have no issue with that. We ask that you do call, but if you're in the area and it's an opportunity for you, just come stop by. If we're not there, leave your information and we'll get back with you. Because if you leave your business card with us, our procurement director will then take that and put it in his own business database as well. So when we want to start looking for different products and services, then, well, you know, this person came in. The same thing everyone else has said. When we get to know you, then we think about you when it comes time to do those different things. Because there's so many different products and services in the area. The people you're more comfortable with are the ones you think about first. So it's people registered. It consists of people registered on the website and people who just happen to stop by as well. So our procurement site, I have the email address on talk about how to do that. And the way it works, just like you were showed the demonstration, you can sign up, and then when whatever categories you sign up that you do those type of products and services, when we do those, send those things out, you'll get a notice and you have the opportunity to download those documents. So this is Lextran's homepage. You see the links, and we have the one called business, and you see business, and you go down to the procurement page, and I take you to that page. You see, for example, we have current opportunities on our site right now, and then they have our economic engines, basically almost the same thing as the USA buyers. It used to be Kentucky buyers, and it almost looks the same, just like you saw before. You go in there and you register, again, as I said, whatever products and services that you use, and when those different opportunities come up, you will have the opportunity to email. What we like about it also is, if we know you're on there, and you, for instance, came and said you're interested in doing this type of service, and you didn't download the RFP or the bidding document, we'll go out and give you a call saying, why didn't you do this? Because the thing we hate is to get one bid. You think that might make it easy for us, but that makes it very difficult because the Federal Transit Administration said, why did you get one bid? If you got one bid, what did you do wrong? You have to now do a price and cost analysis. You do other type of analysis to say, why is this a good bid, or do you need to start all over again? So we want as much competition as we possibly can get because the one bid doesn't work for us. Again, we have two main types, the RFP, request for proposal, and invitation for bid. Invitation bid is already again before mentioned. We have a generic scope of work. All we want to know is how much you're going to charge us to do it, and at that time we pick the lowest bid. It's basically a public bid, public opening. They're due a certain period of time. We hold you to that. Up until that time, another reason why we want you to register on that database. You don't have to compete for it, but the issue is you might have questions you want to answer. You have every document we have sends out, it shows our procurement schedule. So this is when questions are, you have the opportunity to ask questions. When they're going to be due, if it's a request for proposal or anything kind of complicated, we might say that we might even schedule an opportunity for you to come in for interviews. We might want to interview you, but we're not sure, so you can put that time in the schedule. And so we also have these documents saying that we sent an addendum, which means we made a change. So you come in and you come to our pre-bid meetings, and we always have the standard language. Anything we say right now may not change what we put out, what was in the initial document. If we do make a change, we'll send out the addendum. So we might ask you some questions, and then we go by and think about it, that we answer the questions correctly. And so if you don't register with the site, if we don't know you have the document, and we send an addendum, it'll change something. It might change the terms, it might change some of the prices, it might change what we're looking for, because ideally someone asked a question and we didn't think about that. Because again, we're asking for a diverse type of services. You know, we might, for example, we got a grant to do a change to some of our 2007 engines to make them lighter, change the alternators, things out. And my director of purchasing doesn't know anything really about alternators and engines. I supervise maintenance, but I don't know enough about that. My director of HR, she doesn't know that kind of stuff. So this people might be on the evaluation team, and we might do that, but the person who knows the most might be the director of maintenance for that particular one. If I'm doing payroll services, my HR director would know, or my director of finance would know the most about those. So they might go back and say, let me do some more research, and they might come out, well, that was a good idea, a good point, something I hadn't thought about. So we'll later on send out an addendum, and then we expect you to come back and say acknowledge on a form that you acknowledge that you got the addendum and you reviewed it. Because again, as I just alluded to, we basically every single RFP we do, well, actually both of these categories, the IFP or the RFP, we have an evaluation team. It always consists of our director of purchasing, and then whatever department is directly affected. The bigger it is, the more people goes on it. For example, in 2010, prior to 2010, we purchased a lot of technology equipment for our buses, AVL, GPS, passenger enunciators. Basically, the bus would talk to you, passenger counters. That was such a big project, $3.5 million. Just about every single department head was on that committee. So depending on what it is, and also the more complicated it is, the longer it's going to take. For example, that particular project had 8 proposals. That's a lot of proposals to go through. When we do a comprehensive operation analysis, we hire a consultant to come in and give us some advice about how to structure our services. The last one we did had about 8 people bid on that. That's a lot of proposals to go through. But we always put out in those type of procurements what we're looking for and what we're going to evaluate you on. So you have an opportunity to target your proposals to that response. So again, this goes a little bit more detail about it. Multiple factors for our RFP. We don't know exactly what we wanted, but we're open to different options. So sometimes we come to you because you're an expert in your particular field. So you might know something, I don't know. Give us some good options. We did that when we went out we took the van pool program over from the city. And so we invited people who do specialize in van pools because that's not our specialty. So we said, come in, this is what we're looking for. Tell us what you guys can do that will add value to this project. Proposals are open, private, and shared only with the evaluation committee. Every single time we do that, we have our own form we have to fill out saying that it's basically procurement integrity, that we won't do anything to be unduly influenced by the vendors and things of that nature in that process. And then what we do, we request the best and final offer. So again, you might have added some more information, things we didn't come back with, and then, or now you clarified through the interview process, for example, we got more understanding of what we need, you have better understanding what we need, somebody asks you for a best and final offer. Again, eventually bid process only factor, consider the lowest cost gets the contract, we know exactly what's wanted, basic generic scope, bids are open publicly, dollar amounts are read out. There is no best and final offer option. This is what I mentioned earlier, you know, if you don't register or subscribe to our online system, in most cases, you have to request it. We will email it to you, we don't have issue with that. But again, we won't have the opportunity to give you any of those changes if we're not sure how you got it. We do advertise in the paper and different other magazines as well, depending on what we're trying to do. If we're doing, for example, the conference operation analysis I mentioned, we do it locally and nationally because we want to pull from a diverse set of vendors. So do we have any questions?